Yes, hello, folks. Welcome to the weekly Manchester United podcast. I'm your host, as always, Phil Brandt, joined with my regular co-host, the excellent James Rhodes, on this Wednesday, day after United's disappointing draw against Wolves. We'll go through all the ins and outs of that, some of the relative talking points related to that, the fallout, and we'll take a quick look ahead to Leeds. First of all, happy New Year to everyone. Appreciate all your love and support throughout the year, all your likes, retweets, subscriptions, and all that there, and your feedback. Very, very much appreciated. I hope you all have a wonderful 2026, including my colleague Jamesy here. I hope you have a great 2026, mate. Thanks for everything in 2025.
Yes, to you as well, and to everybody listening. Really, always appreciated all the time.
Very, very much so. Mate, the Wolves game, we all had enough negativity. It's if you talk about this game honestly, it's going to sound extremely negative because there's, to me, in my opinion, there's no positive spin that can be put on this performance and result. And there's just so many things in there that are extremely worrying. I'll ask you first. Go ahead, give me your summary on the Wolves game.
I just think it was shit. Right? If you could sum it up in a word, it was just shit.
Yep.
The only reason I don't get so, I guess, negative about it is that I kind of expect it. I don't think it was that much different than a game we've seen a lot in the last few years. I know that when we're looking at the team and saying, well, it's a team that's on 2 points in the league, 100% agreed. And I'm not going to play that up in any respect. We lost to Grimsby. That's a worse team we lost to. Wolves are still a Premier League team. We lost to Grimsby. When we rotated out, I think it was Bruno, Casemiro, maybe De Ligt. We had a different keeper. And we still, in that game, had a few of the starters that are out now in there. And we lost to Grimsby.
But I don't know if that's a defense, James, more than that.
It's not a defense. No, it's
on Marine because that's his low.
Yeah, it is. But it's also, I think to me, it's not necessarily about a defense or a praise. It's just a reality, right? When you take out,
who's responsible for that reality, though?
Everybody, it's a shared responsibility. I think the point is, and where it's hard to discuss it in that respect, right, is when we look at like 11 players on the pitch, they're responsible. Ruben Amorim, he's responsible. Ineos, they're responsible. The Glazers, they're responsible. You can bring it back 5 years of squad building, and it all adds up to what we have today, right? And so I guess my view on a game like this is just that, like, I'm not hunting anymore for somebody to blame. I've when we lost to Grimsby at that game, I remember we were talking and I was thinking, what the hell do we do? Because I cannot be convinced that, suddenly you're going to change managers and Xerxes going to learn how to fucking put half an ounce of effort into his game. Yeah. You know what I mean? I don't believe that, and I don't believe it's not going to bring Mbeumo back from AFCON early, and it's not going to bring Bruno back from injury early, and it's not going to bring De Ligt back or make Harry Maguire 3 years younger or something. You know what I mean? There's a lot of realities that aren't going to change on that. That doesn't mean Amorim is a success, and it doesn't mean he's the right guy either. It just means my feeling on it was the same as back then. The squad just has to keep being fixed because it's damn near not good enough, and it hasn't been good enough. And maybe it's better, but you can see once you start losing players just how bad it gets and how quickly it reverts back to what it's been for a long time.
We're all entitled to our own opinion, right? No one can be upset at someone else for not seeing it the same way they do. And I would agree.
Well, they certainly can, but
that
doesn't make you valid for being.
I understand all opinions are created equal. Some are absurd, but that's within the reasonable regard. I think I agree with your first assessment that, because when Manchester United win games, but when they lose them, Amorim loses them.
Always,
right?
Yes.
So I understand what you're saying. There is 100% collective responsibility throughout the football club. We're always looking for one bogeyman, and then once we find them, we blame them for everything and assume that they're the source of every problem. United's job is an exceptionally difficult job, really hard. And you're at a football club now where you need elite level expertise in multiple different areas for a manager to succeed. So you need a bit of luck. You need the right people. You need the right stability. You need the right foundations and all that to be successful. 100%. However, when I look at United, James, you talk about the players coming back. Ruben Amorim had those players against Everton. Ruben Amorim had those players against West Ham. I'm not convinced that if he had those players yesterday, we'd have seen anything any different. When I hear a United manager taking off a striker at halftime to get their system to match the away team, I have serious concerns. Wolves' last away win in the Premier League was against Ruben Amorim at United at Old Trafford. Played 4 times against Wolves and lost 3 of them. He's letting Wolves control.
No, hold on. We didn't lose yesterday. We only lost 2 games to Wolves. We won and drew. We won 1, drew this year, and we lost twice.
One of the players won. So,
yeah.
Wolves' last point in the Premier League was in October. They come to Old Trafford and get 1 of their 3 against an Amorim where Lamont saved United from a defeat, just like he did against Bournemouth. A second half that to me was a complete betrayal of everything that Manchester United are supposed to be. I worried when he did this against Newcastle and got away with it that we'd see it again, where we bring on a second half and say, let's sit behind the ball and keep the result. Newcastle should have equalised. They didn't. Wolves did.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at this and going, no, that's defensive cowardice. And then you're bringing on Jack Fletcher in the same game twice, second half, asking them to sit behind the ball. There's no one ahead of the kid to create. Wolves' goal. United have 8 defenders in the box. 8 defenders in the box from the cross that cut the corner that led to the goal. United break and there's no one ahead of them. There's no one there. And when I watched Bournemouth game, I saw goals in that game that were a direct result of the way Amorim picked that system and lined up where the vulnerabilities in the middle caused those goals. What I saw yesterday was 100% a result of the way that team was asked to play, the way that team was set up. And that's what concerns me, is that mentality isn't a result of United losing players, because they've done this before with the full strength squad. That happened because of Ruben Amorim specifically telling United to do this. Patrick Dorgu has his best performance in a Manchester United shirt, 45 minutes, never plays in that position again. Why? Why was Xerxes taken off at halftime? I mean, because we attacked too much against Wolves. James, that is more concerning to me than the result. What does Ruben Amorim's best team look like? Look like this? United are on 30 points, right? Halfway through the season. You double that to 60, that means they finish about 8th or 9th. That means next season we have another threadbare squad. We have no games. We have no games to play youth players. We have a diminished budget. And we are not get anyone like Elliot Anderson, because why would they come to United when they can go somewhere else? I'm sorry, mate. To draw 1 each against Wolves and to have a lineup which was obvious in the first 10 minutes that it was wrong in the way he had them lined up, I'm angry about that.
Yeah, I mean, I hear that. Now, I don't know. I when I look at it, I look at, at Amorim, and I look at Xerxes coming off, and I don't know. I don't know that I would see that and say, oh yeah, okay, I'm going to.
What positive did it produce?
None, but I don't know. Like when I look at
but substitution, but you have to win the game. All of the substitutions made United worse again.
But that's because there's nobody on the bench to make them better.
James,
but you're talking about
Wolves, and he's bringing on Euro and Mantaro. Why?
Why not? I mean, but who's the better option? I'm just saying. Like I'm saying, we look at the options and we go, what is there though? But what is there to bring on?
Well, I could have brought Saint-Etienne on. Or he could have brought...
I hear that, but we're saying that. But we've talked about like the idea with these kids.
Brought him against Aston Villa.
We can't. Sure, but did we win?
Against Wolves?
Did we win?
Players ahead of the ball. That was obvious. That's why he took Xerxes off. You attacked too much.
I think he took Xerxes off because he wasn't working hard. Because I wanted Xerxes to come off even before his goal.
hold on a
5
minute.
minutes I was asking for.
Okay,
People were
so
questioning
let
why
me
you
ask
even
Ruben
started.
Amorim why he picked him. Why did he pick him then after he put in one of the worst performances against Newcastle? Then take him off at halftime and say you're not working hard enough. I mean, I'm sorry, like he didn't work hard enough against Newcastle. Why did he play then? It's fine if you want to take him off, but what he said after the game was, "We attack too much with three forwards. We can attack more with more players behind the ball." This is the problem. Everyone's behind the ball, so when United break, there's no options. They're so easy to defend. How many chances did United create second half?
I thought they had probably 2. You had
Against the worst team in the Premier League.
yeah, no, look, the performance was shit. There's nothing about that.
But
I'm
it's
not going to
not an
argue in
accident.
the slightest that the
But it's not an
performance
accident.
wasn't bad. Of course, it isn't an accident, but it's. I don't know that it would be any better with anything of the suggestions that get made about it.
Okay, but we
You know what
can't
I mean?
keep a
Like-
guy in a job because we think it might not get any better. Because listen, then that is complete surrender from the football club. And then look, this is what we are. We shouldn't expect any better. We can't get any better. This is our ceiling. What the fuck are we talking about? This is our ceiling.
But it probably is. Without players, it is. I mean, I'm just like, here's the thing, right? If you go to the last 2 years, because I've seen some interesting things about this for the last 2 years, United won more games in 2025 than 2024 in the league. Can you believe that?
James, 13 wins, 11 draws, and 14 defeats is our manager's record at the end of the season. That's a disgrace.
I understand that, but
Disgrace.
that's where we were, though. The year
No, we were
before that,
never
the
that way
record was
under
the
anyone
same.
else. We were. What other manager finished 16th?
He took over in the middle of a season.
No,
where
but what
we were
other managers
already in
finished
15th and
So did
14th at
Solskjaer.
that point in time?
So did
No,
Solskjaer.
we were in
That's
eighth
the
when
manager.
we were in eighth when Solskjaer took over, and we were in
So
sixth
we're
when
in
he ended.
16th. Wait, has Ruben Amorim ever spent a single moment inside the top four?
He didn't
Never.
start.
Has
I
he
don't
ever
understand
won more than 2 back-to-back games? Never.
No, but I don't but what's the point of it? Like we don't have a right to be in top four. Why would we don't have a top 4 team? We haven't had a top 4 team in years.
So now we've got Ruben Amorim, and now what we're saying is, look, the target is this forever because that's
improvement. The target is to improve.
But where are we improving?
But everywhere, everything has been better.
Okay.
That's on a 1-game basis. That doesn't change the improvement we've seen over the course of the season.
But
we had 22 points for the first half of last year.
If he is on course right now, halfway through the season, if United duplicate their points total second half of the season to finish about 9th.
Well, no, it's 6th right now because it's 6th. I mean,
but if we're in 30 points, 60 points gets you about 8th.
No, but the points changes every single year. This season,
yeah, but then we're hoping.
Okay,
but based on previous seasons, so what we're hoping is that somehow that points total scrapes you in like it hasn't before, despite the fact somehow those points total last season's got teams relegated. Thankfully, it didn't last season. This is what we're at. When has any manager at Manchester United been given that type of leverage? You wanted Ten Hag sacked after winning a cup final, and now we're supposed to sit here and say Ruben Amorim's okay to finish mid-table? No, I'm sorry.
We were in 8th. We were worse.
No,
at the end of a season, we were significantly worse.
Ten Hag never finished there. And Ten Hag was right to be sacked. Ten Hag would not. I try to understand why we should turn around with this guy and say, okay, mediocrity's fine. That's the best.
But what are we? But when now? This is the first time we've been better in 2 years. Last 6 months.
Well, that's because we've been relegation material for a year.
But that's the reality.
Part of that was under him.
No, but hold on a second. If you take over a business that's failing and it gets better, you don't go, well, it used to be the biggest business in the world. You don't have it there.
We are not at a point where we were. We're not ahead of where Ten Hag's peak was.
No, of course not.
Okay, so it's not.
We didn't start at Ten Hag's peak. We started at Ten Hag's bottom.
Okay, but his job was to get Manchester United in a position that Eric Ten Hag couldn't. Right?
Not yet. In 2028.
No, James, not 2028. No one gets 3 years to do that. Ten Hag was they were wanting them second season.
We were in third. The only progress up from there is second or first, right? And so that's challenging for a title. That target is 2028.
Second season.
because it was going down. It was going down.
Yeah, this is James. This is his second season. Wolves were missing a bunch of players yesterday. How many times do you want to keep watching this? I admire I admire your optimism. What I'm concerned, yesterday was 100% a direct causal result of how he asked that team to play.
I don't think so. I don't think when you're missing Maguire, Delict, Bruno, Mount,
we're missing a bunch of players too, James.
Ahmad.
I want to hear Wolves were missing a bunch of players too.
Yes, they were.
A 70 million pound striker up front who looks like a donkey. I'm sorry.
Is that Amarim's fault?
Well, they scouted him. They signed him.
He didn't. Well, he wanted a more proven striker, to be fair. But yeah,
Ruben Amorim is not signing these players, and he needs to come out and say that.
Well, we know he's not signing his players. So, we know it's a group decision, but we know also that he was pushing for more experienced strikers.
Then he should walk.
Well, no, but why? Because he's not going to get sacked. Because they're not blaming him for that.
Okay, so
they're not sitting there going, "This is your fault that he's not going."
Who's taking responsibility and accountability for what's happening? Who is responsible for this?
The management in charge, the team in charge, everybody in charge of it is responsible for it. They're all responsible for it.
I agree,
and they all need to fix it. The only thing I'm trying
to fix it?
Oh, because it's getting better. Because I see that it's getting better, and progress is slow, but it's also relevant. Like
I don't see that.
If you've got a ball rolling over the hill and it hits a peak, and then it rolls 2/3 down the hill, and you start pushing it back up, and you're halfway there, you don't go, well, it's not as good as the peak. Therefore, it's down. Like that doesn't make sense to me.
No, we've been told to suffer for a year for Ruben Amorim's system. I don't know. Maybe someone told him he could play with 2 goalkeepers. That's why I got excited about changing the system. I don't know. But we've had to suffer for a year. Manchester United were significantly worse than some of their parts. There's no doubt about that. There's no doubt about that. Now, we accepted that because there was supposedly this was the road to a quicker good. Okay, fine. We're all fatigued with getting managers sacked. Now we're told a few days ago that actually we can't change the system. I didn't change it because the media pressure. Wait, what? The media is picking your team. The media is picking your formation. The media is picking your tactics because you're responding to them. No, now we can change it. We're going to evolve. We're going to do this. It starts with his 3 centre backs again against Wolves. Was it 4 at the back? No, it's 3 at the back. And of course, United are utterly appalling. And I'm sitting here going, that sounds to me like Ineos sat him down and said, we can't get you players. So you need to adapt. So I accept the fact United have a staffing problem and no longer can afford to address the on-field staffing problem because they're so highly leveraged because they've been used for everything but football, right? So this is also a significant issue. But Ineos have been a collective disaster on the pitch, an absolute disaster. They finished with a relegation total last season, a points total that gets teams relegated, right? Yeah, United are going to lose out in Semenyo, just like they'll lose out on Elliot Anderson for exactly the same reason. And they're going to sit here at the end of the season, no European football next season, no chances for the kids, reduced squad, and players that the top clubs don't want, and then we're going to sit here, well, we didn't get the top players. It's just a constant diatribe of excuses and constant chaos. Newcastle last season, we had injuries. We've injuries this season. The strategic review, it's Ralph Rangnick. There's always a bullshit excuse for why United can't win a football game.
But that's been the last 10 years. It's not like that's not nothing new. But that's not solved instantly, like they can't do let's take a couple examples in the alternative that we've seen. FSG, when they came in, how many years did it take them to turn the football club around? 7, I think, before Klopp got in and started winning things. 7 years.
Well, the
City when
almost bankrupt.
Yeah, but so was ours.
Well, no.
$1 billion in debt to the Glazers and their spending, and by the time they took over, we were PSR leveraged to literally the dollar.
So what are Ineos here for then?
To fix it. And I think that they are, but it's not fixed in 1 year. It's not fixed in 6 months. It's not fixed in 2 years even.
I'm not asking them to fix it in a year. I'm asking to see progress.
You don't think it's better than it was a year and a half ago?
No.
but then I can't do anything with that because I think it's very clear. Can I put something on the screen? We never do this, but can I put something on the screen?
Just go ahead.
And we can debate it a little bit if you want, for for this discussion, because I never do this, but I thought it would be interesting. Let's see if this works. All right, because I was curious about this, so I put it together and I made a graph. Okay. Can you see that?
Let's see.
This is sorry to have you put your glasses on.
Go ahead, Matt.
This is for the last 4 6-month segments of football, right? So it's wins, it's points, it's goals against, it's expected goals, whatever. But this is all the stats for the last 2 years.
This is the last, hold on. This
2 years.
That is from, when did it start?
Not 2 seasons, but 2 calendar years. Okay. So January 1st,
okay,
2024.
So you took it at Ten Hag's lowest point.
No, I took it 2 calendar years because
do it over a 5-year period when Ten Hag first started.
Yeah, we could totally do that. I could add to that. But what I'm saying is the reason I'm saying it is it's split down the middle. This is Ten Hag and this is Amorim so far. These are the 1 year of each is what I'm saying.
But
I see progress on that front because I'm just also saying Ineos took over here, right here. And they didn't have anybody in yet. They took over here.
But this is so the points total is really the only metric that matters.
Sure,
because that's what we play for.
Right. And let's say that's all that matters.
No, but other
teams,
to
be fair,
other teams could go out on the weekend and say, "Look, let's just get 100 shots on goal. We'll get a bunch of goals. We'll concede a bunch, right?
Points and wins, right? Points and wins. That's what we care about.
No, you can pick a team on the weekend that says we're not going to worry about winning the game. We're just going to worry about getting goals. We'll lose 6-5 and we'll get a bunch of shots because we'll finish top of this table. We'll finish almost above relegation. But these are stats that have an inference, but
there's points on here. Red is points,
but they're not. It's not a theoretical exact science. These are they infer.
Of course.
The only metric that matters is the
points,
of the table. How are you winning games of football? Because teams can be reckless and not win games, but finish high above on the stat charts really high. But they don't play that way. They'd rather finish higher on the table and let people like podcasters worry about these. This doesn't show improvement to me.
But the red one is points. How is this not improvement? It's the best points total over 6-month period in 2 years, and it's about 50% better.
Because you're comparing it to the worst period of Ten Hag's tenure when he gets.
But
sacked.
That's where we were. We were.
But James, where we were. If you take it over, if you average it out over the time that Ten Hag was there, right?
But
wait, no, hold on, because that's the only data set that matters, right? So you get the average over Ten Hag's tenure, not where he finished, right? Because that.
But then you have to give 2.5 years to make a proper comparison to that.
Okay, so that's exactly what you do. You have to go back and look at where because.
But I'm saying then you'd have to give Amorim 2.5 years because he's building from the bottom.
We can compare his first year to Ten Hag won a trophy every year he was here.
I don't think we can compare first years.
But then
think about the team that have been taken over. I don't think that's selective though, because every manager takes over with the last one.
Ten Hag's last year, he was managing a football club that was up for sale.
I understand.
Ruben Amorim's never done that. Ruben Amorim had the benefit of a football department. Then he said,
not really. I mean,
James, of course he has.
They were sacking 400 employees last season.
But have we not just stated that Ineos bear responsibility for this? So he's had a football department.
Not till now. Like you wouldn't say that this team has been even settled until this summer, correct? Till this summer. Till Ineos hired him this summer.
Okay, Ineos hired him over last season. That's who he works for. They were the ones that he interviewed with. They explained the process to him, and he took the job. This is the same guy that desperately tried to take the West Ham job, right? And then had to apologize. So he took the job, working for Ineos. Ten Hag never had that. I'm not saying that's a better or worse. I'm saying he never had it. His last season,
he didn't have it.
Was impossible because the football club was up for sale, right?
Yeah,
he still won a trophy, right? Ruben Amorim hasn't had a run of form. Ruben Amorim hasn't had 2 games where he's kept a clean sheet.
But
right?
who cares? Or isn't it just
I
points?
care. That matters.
But isn't it just points? But now isn't it just points?
Because you can't. But to get points, you need to keep a clean sheet, James.
Well, you just have to score more goals than the opposition.
No, but have you just not used stats to show us the goals? So now,
no, I have all of them.
Now
on
we
there,
can't use
points.
defensive stats, but we can use attacking.
No,
stats.
the defensive stats are on there. The defensive stats are on there
goals
too.
we're conceding. Right?
Look, we're conceding fewer than we were, slightly more than before. So, but the goals have gone way up. So it's flipped from negative to positive.
Last season?
What's that?
Slightly more than what Amorim was conceding last season?
Yeah, but
so
the goals.
That's an indictment on him.
No, but well, yeah, you're right. The defense is worse, but goals versus goals conceded is important. You win goals by scoring more than the opposition.
Okay, you start a game with a point. Okay?
Yes, 0-0.
If you keep a clean sheet, you leave a game with a point. If you can't keep a clean sheet, then you better be scoring a lot of goals.
If you can't score, you lose 2 points.
Okay.
You drop 2 points possibly.
But
it's
Jim,
worth more to score than it is to stay clean.
No, no team wins the league by being porous at the back.
No
team is successful being porous at the back. Nobody. I mean,
I would agree with that. I would agree with that.
So when you've got nice furniture but holes in the boat, you have a problem. And when you're playing 3 center backs, one of the things that makes that tolerable is clean sheets, because you're more defensively protected. If you are shipping goals, that Lammens is the only reason why United didn't lose to Wolves yesterday, James. This can't go on. This is on, and that is a direct result of his 70 minutes into that game. United looked like they were playing for a point, and he brings on Lenny Yoram and Pato. Like, I understand 5 teenagers in the game, but James, so many times I watch United win the ball and look up ahead of them, and the Dorgu flying down the wing, and that's about it.
But now Dorgu should be lost because Dorgu wasn't in the attacking areas. Like, here's the thing.
This is what I'm saying. The person furthest forward in the attack was Dorgu, and that was it. And now you're.
Well, who else do we have?
Well, he's got a £70 million striker. What happened?
He missed a bunch of chances. What else? You know.
So why did he sign him?
Because we need it.
Because Marcus Rashford,
because we had a $60 million striker who was missing chances last year.
Okay, so
hold on one second. To be very fair on a point of criticism.
Was Ten Hag responsible for Hoyland?
Yes, because
then Amorim's responsible for Sesko.
Hold on. But it is very different, Phil. Ruben Amorim, Erik ten Hag had control of his signings. He had a veto and he had control of his signings. Now, hold on a second, because I want to back up for a moment. That is 100% still 100% the responsibility and fault of the club for doing. Yeah, he did, but he also signed for Ten Hag's agency the day, right before getting a deal, and the price going up 20 million overnight, which does need looking into.
That's a separate issue, but it's selecting the player goes. Then and signing the player, that was a direct result of John Murda, and SEG was saying him afterwards.
Correct.
What he's saying. But he bears responsibility regardless.
Of course.
What is Amorim bears responsibility? That's his job.
He does. That's a part of him as a team, and all of that. I'm not absolving him from it, but at the end of the day, I think recruitment is obviously very much the most joint activity possible, right? It's the responsibility of everybody. And the club got recruitment unbelievably wrong under Ten Hag, clearly, very, very clearly. But all I'm getting here, I don't particularly care about Ruben Amorim at this point in time. I don't believe if you sacked him and put somebody else in there, we'd get better results. I don't think it would change at all. In fact, nobody, just before the Wolves game, we were saying if you'd said, hey, we're sitting here level on points with 5th, I'm gonna give you an example here. Like, there's a lot of stuff around Maresca today and drama and things like that. And he's probably going to leave Chelsea and all these kinds of things right now. Enzo Maresca signed 37. They signed 37 players.
Well, no,
and spent 700 million euros while he was manager to be on the same points total. Right now, I'm not saying that that's acceptable, because I think Chelsea have been a joke in the way that they've managed things. but we're not even anywhere close to that.
James,
right
if Ruben
now.
Amorim was sitting having won the Club World Cup and got United in the Champions League, I wouldn't be calling for his head the way Chelsea or Maresca, because he would have enough equity in the bank for me to say, okay.
But he had 23 players signed by 16th then.
And lost the Europa League final, right?
We had 23 players.
No European football, no young. This is bullshit. This is just constant sacrifice for no reward. Like I want the guy to be successful. I don't care who the manager is, but what happened yesterday was a direct result of his mentality.
But then winning against Liverpool is a direct result of his mentality. So these things cancel each. We can't. Like we said, it can't always be one way or another.
No.
That's why you look at the aggregate of where we are,
and that's the problem.
Sitting in sixth is about where we expect it to be.
Aggregate is an indictment on him.
I don't think it is. Of where we are this season,
13 wins,
is this season being in
wins in a
hold on a second.
Year.
Is being in sixth this season a failure right now? Is being level in points with fifth a failure right now?
It's mediocre.
Is it a failure though? Is it where we expect? Would anybody have expected us to be? Who should we be above in the table? That's a better question. Who do we deserve as a squad, how we've built our club, to be better than and above in the table right now?
I would say, considering what United have invested, they should be floating around the top four.
Better than who though? Not Arsenal, City,
Why
or
should
Liverpool.
United be worse than Aston Villa?
Well, I mean, the manager's been there for 6 years, hasn't
he? Manager?
But he's been there for 6 years to get to this point.
He had to start Jadon Sancho the other night.
I hear you.
He loses his best players. He doesn't get the players that United are signing.
I think Unai Emery is a great manager. Okay. I think Unai Emery is a really good manager. Don't get me wrong, but he's also been there. I think it's been 5 years he's been there. It wasn't like this every season. They certainly weren't like this every year. I mean, we battered them with Ten Hag.
He's been getting them into Champions League since he got there. He's been getting them into Europe.
He's a really good manager. They've also, but if you also look at Aston Villa, they spent more. They actually topped the spending tables for 2 seasons. So it's not like they haven't invested in their squad. Aston Villa topped the spending tables. They spent a lot and they spent better than we have. If you look at their squad, you could take 6 of their players and drop them in ours, and you would say they're better. That's the truth.
Let me ask you this: if Ruben Amorim was managing that Villa squad, do you think he'd have them where they're at?
I don't have any idea. I also don't think that you could drop anybody in the United squad and it would just magically be better. I mean, I would take their entire midfield plus.
This is his team. He's been there a year. No, listen.
United got 3 times the amount of money and people were still arguing it wasn't finished.
No, but I'm not asking him to win the league. I'm not saying that he should be competing with City and Arsenal and Liverpool. Okay? Because of that very reason.
But that would be top 4. That's who we'd have to compete with.
Those 3 teams are competing for the league. Right?
But then there's Chelsea, who have spent.
So why can't they finish ahead of Chelsea? Chelsea are a fucking mess.
Because Chelsea's invested so much more. They have options to play with.
But of the 3,457 players that they've signed, right? Maybe 15 of them are first team material. The rest are loans were sent here, sent there.
Well, wait a second. Hold on a second. I agree with you because their failures have mostly been, their signings have been largely a failure, but at the same time, they've signed so many that it still worked out. Cole Palmer, Enzo Fernandez, and Caicedo are better than anybody in our team in terms of performances over the last few years. They still have a better team than we have. João Pedro is still a better striker at this point in time than what we have. They still have a better team than us. Okay, even with all their failures, they still do have a better team.
Pedro's a better striker than what we have. They paid less for João Pedro than what United paid for Sesko.
I don't want to go in on Sesko being here for 6 months. I have my doubts on him. We'll see how that is. If it doesn't work out, I'll say that they messed up on that because I thought they should have bought an experienced Premier League striker. I said that 1,000 times over summer. I was very concerned about buying another young striker. So I'm not sitting here defending every conversation or anything like that. I think we are about where we deserve to be, and it's not very good. I mean, look, hold on. Aston Villa finished 6th last year. Okay, they lost to United, Wolves twice, and Tottenham. That was the 15th, 16th, and 17th place sides last year. They were 6th. I think this is what a sixth place team looks like. They win some good games and they lose some really shit games. We beat Aston Villa on the final game of the season that cost them Champions League. They were trying to win to get into Champions League, and they lost at Old Trafford on the final game of the season when we were 15th in our worst season ever. These results, these types of games happen. These banana peels happen for teams that are around sixth.
And Oxford United can knock out Liverpool in an FA Cup one-off game.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, it's
That's
not,
why we look at the table.
Reflective of anything. You judge a team over the course of a season and a 38-game season because that tells you everything about the quality of the team.
Yeah. If we don't finish in sixth or above, they should replace the manager. That's my view. Very explicitly.
I don't think you should be given that long. Because if James, you cannot sit here at the end of the season not qualifying for Europe and repeating this shit.
But the idea that we're going to change it and it's going to get better, it doesn't. Ollie didn't finish above Jose when he got sacked in mid-season. Ralph didn't finish above Ollie when he came in mid-season. It doesn't usually work that way.
Well, to finish above Jose and to finish, would he have to win the league?
I'm saying where they were at that time.
You know, the closest Amaring's been to finishing second is if you turn the table upside down.
But we were in sixth. We were in sixth when Jose got sacked. We were in sixth at the end of the season. It didn't change.
So that was enough for Solskjaer to lose his job. That was enough for Mourinho to lose.
He got the long term. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm saying that changing a manager mid-season has never actually improved our fortunes. Well, never, not once.
Well, but James, that's because they pick the wrong people to do the job. So
I think it's because we just never built a squad and we blame everything on the manager.
Going to sack managers because we got it wrong in the past.
That's not what I'm saying.
So should we just, because they got it wrong in the past, should we just let Ruben Amorim do what he wants and lose as many games? Or is there a threshold where we say we have to let this guy go?
I think it's comparable to the level of the squad that you've built. A manager, to me, is succeeding if they're at or above the level of the squad you built. That's why the best, I mean, look, the title winners always have the best team, no? Like 99% of the time they have the best team, or arguably the best team in the league. So what's the point of a manager then? You know, a manager's job is to get the squad the results that it deserves based on its quality relative to the rest of the league. If they do worse than that, they should lose their job. If they do better than that, then great. But most of the time, it's the team with the best squad that is winning in the league and in Champions League and in everything. Most of the time. I think Sir Alex probably had the best squad most of the time when he won titles. Not always. There's outliers. There's certainly outliers because that's what makes him so great and all of that. But I think you would argue he did most of the time. You think Pep had the best team most of the time, if not every season.
Sure, but they get those players, James, because they're successful. Right?
Look,
you're never going to lose Semenyo.
It's a self-fulfilling prophecy for sure.
Right?
Look, we lost Elise 2 years ago. You know, like these things happen, though. We know these. There's going to, for every player that doesn't want to join us, there's going to be another who does at the point.
We would want to join United over the offer of a top club.
Well, Arsenal built a club when they were in 6th and 8th as well. They built a title challenging club out of 6th and 8th, out of multiple seasons in 6th. They built a title challenging club. So did Liverpool. They were in 6th and 8th. No, Salah wasn't a guy who was like
that's what's going to happen to Ruben Amorim.
That's what has to. I'm not saying it does. I'm saying that's what has to happen anyway. We don't have a choice in the matter.
He just turned around a week ago and said that he's abandoning his principles, that his system. Where are we?
Nah, I don't think that's.
But that's what he said. I didn't say it. He did.
I don't think that's what he was saying. I don't think that's what he was saying.
Maybe it's lost in translation. Maybe he wasn't saying what he was actually saying. So we're going to assume that he said something he didn't say. Like, this is what he said.
No, but I don't think he said anything close to that.
Because of the media. Like, that's his words.
Okay, but 3 months ago, when people quote the thing about him saying he wouldn't change even for the Pope, the next sentence was the squad is the tactics are going to change. They are going to evolve. He's always said it was going to change. That's what I'm saying.
He's not abandoning his. No, he didn't.
I'll bring the quote up for you. System, do you want me to read it?
It's nothing to do with the system. And if we don't change now, in a year we'll be in the same position. And that the system is fine. There's not. It was rigid about not changing.
That it would evolve. He did say many times it was going to evolve.
Okay.
When he was ready to evolve.
The variation within the system would evolve. right?
I haven't
But
seen anything but the variation within the system. I haven't seen a change.
But no. You get that happen. It better have variation. That improves with cohesion. That improves with quality. That improves with understand. That better improve. That variation within the system. That system better to evolve. What he turned around and did was something completely different, or he wouldn't have needed to have said it, and it wouldn't have garnered the headlines. And actually, in his defense, I think that's more of an indictment on Ineos. When Ineos hired this guy, first question before you go after him is, how much would it cost to build the squad the way he plays?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
That's answer number one. I hate bringing up this Ralph Rangnick fucking quote, right? But when Rangnick was saying, Liverpool, before they went after Klopp, you pick a style that you want to play, you commit to it.
Correct.
Every single United manager post-Ferguson has had to go through this. There's an enthusiastic commitment when they hire him to build a squad in his image. Then halfway through it, they abandon it. And then here we are, a mishmash of players bought to play this system, that system, that system. None of them can play. And the perpetual crisis continues where you have to, all right, well, we need another rebuild. So, like, what is this aimless shit?
Yeah, I agree with you. Look, to me, that's why where I lean towards is sacking a manager now to me is stupid, because I think to me, okay, I'm not saying people thinking it are stupid. I'm saying from my perspective, I see it as stupid, because I look at it and I go, you haven't done it. What you said you were going to do, which is build a squad in an image in a way. You haven't fucking done it. You only have 4 seniors brought in last summer. That's not even close to enough, right? So my pressure is, here's where I'm at. Here's where I think we could find a lot of agreement, okay, on this point. If you don't get him players in January to add to this, then you're bullshitters, because you've said it's because right now you're saying it's the players. I can buy that. I agree with it. I think we're performing around the level of the squad. So when you say we're in danger of missing out on Europe, I don't think it's changing the manager that's going to change that. I think it's changing the players that's going to change that. So you better fucking change them, because I have the same concern. If you don't invest in January and we don't finish up the table, then we will miss out on more, and it's going to be way difficult.
100%.
You've got to invest in January or you're bullshit. So we can look at it in different ways, and I think you would want players too. Obviously, nobody's going to sit there and say we don't need better players. You know, Amram obviously wants them. He clearly needs them. So I look at it and I go, if you were to change now, why I don't really care about the manager front, I'm saying if you were to change now, you're just full of shit, and we're in for the same shit we were in before, because you haven't actually followed through on what you said you were going to do. That's my point on the whole thing. I think we need much more in the market right now to say, and look, if we were to buy a midfielder in January, even just one good midfielder in January, and drop them in that team, if Amram doesn't do better, you know for sure you got to sack him at the end of the season, or even sooner. But if he does do better, you can answer some questions that are lingering. I've got tons of questions on Amram right now. I've got tons. I have a lot of doubts, but I also don't think you can answer them without more players.
Well, I think that, I agree with you that, first of all, you always need to know why someone failed, and it's never just one person's fault, right? There's collective failure, and United's a very hard job. You don't support your manager by giving a press release. You support him in the market. Their manager that they picked needs help now. Not the summer. Forget about the summer.
And you bought AFCON players too, mind you. Like, you did buy AFCON players, and
so forget about the summer. Right? Because United, this is what I don't understand with the logic. Get a midfielder now. Yes, the acquisition cost might be a little higher, but when you look at the value of that particular signing, you don't judge it based on your acquisition cost. You look at the collective benefit that they bring to the football club, and then you judge it. That manager needs help now. If even deferring all the business to the summer and trying to bring in 3 midfielders in a World Cup year and then integrate them and hope they all hit the ground, it's just stupid to me.
Tough.
Go get this guy 1 or 2 players right now. City are helping Pep Guardiola.
Look what they did last year.
This manager needs a player. You're sitting here telling me we're comfortable, we're not making mistakes. Okay, making mistakes in the past, but we also made good decisions in the past in January, right? And you can't let the mistakes of the past. The reason why you're here and your expertise is to make sure the mistakes of the past don't happen. That doesn't mean you don't buy in January. Do we not buy in the summer because we've made mistakes in the summer market? Like, it's just a nonsensical logic. Get a player in now, go to market in the summer because you're in the Champions League, because you bought players in January and you sufficiently strengthened, and then your higher budget, it's easy to go to market. You get the players easy, and it's easier to compete. Don't go finish ninth because you refuse to strengthen in January. Sack your manager, have no budget, then go to market to sign the midfielders you can't sign because you didn't fucking strengthen in January. Like,
look, Phil,
sorry,
January 1st, 2025, Man City were on 31 points. United are on 30 because they had injuries and they were losing players and they weren't doing well. They were 1 point better than United halfway through the season last year. So in January, what did they do? They were sitting in sixth place. They went out and they spent a shitload of money, 220 million or something like that, right? And of course, end of the season, they're on 71 points. So they went from 31 to 41 points in the second half, got themselves back into Champions League positions, and now they're competing once again for the league. Now, I'm not comparing Amorim and Pep. That's not the point I'm making there. But I'm saying that, to me, I look at it and I go, that's what is necessary, you know?
Yeah, no, that part I agree with you on.
If you don't do that, then it's pointless. It's like, you're going to do it to the next manager, just like we saw with the Glazers. They did this every time to every manager. They did it. When Jose finished second, look what they gave him that year. You know,
there's no question.
They pulled the rug so hard. It was unbelievable. Don't pull the rug. You know,
but this is where Ineos was supposed to come in and make the difference.
They better. Yeah, I agree with you.
Ineos should be demonstrating right now. This is the difference between Ineos and the Glazers. We're going to get our manager players just like our competitors are going to do, and make sure he has the squad capable of finishing the season strongly, right? And remove as many excuses for Amorim as possible for failure.
Correct.
And that's where I feel like I completely agree. He's been let down. Look, he said in the summer, I remember his press conference in the summer where he joked, but it was a joke with a job about talk to him because we need to get midfielders. Was talking to Wilcox, and
he wanted him. He wanted him,
and he definitely should have at least gotten one. They go for Baleba late in the window, and I mean, to me, they definitely
look how late the keeper thing would be. Like even on that basis, we've kind of talked about this. United have been better since Lammens came in. If he wasn't there, we lose the game yesterday, right? If it was by India or net, we lose that game yesterday, not even draw. And we would have lost other games this season if it was by India or Onana in net in those games. If we gotten Lammens in the start of the season, we might still be on more points even right now. So there's things they need to do a lot better there. And all my kind of stance is I think we kind of, given what has happened, I think we're not really far off where we should be or deserve to be. That doesn't mean we've done enough is what, is where I have that, where I'll sit and insist. Like, me saying that is not saying that, that means we're okay and it's all good and everything's fine. And like, pass through January, it's okay. And pray we finish on 60 and that 60 is enough. I'm saying that my view on it is we are where we are relative to how much we've done in the market to rebuild the team yet. A lot more needs to be done, and you can't wait. You cannot pass these windows up.
Yeah.
I just used Sir Jim's own words. He said, when he gave that interview about Amorim a few weeks ago, he said he needs the January summer window to have it be his team. So you're saying you need to give him players in these windows for it to be his team. Back it up then. Give him players in this window and let's see then. It's not going to hurt. If you sack him after that, then you just have a better team for the next guy, which is how it's supposed to be.
Exactly. No, I completely agree with you on that. And I do feel that's where, he has a huge challenge because United are so highly leveraged that makes it difficult to go into the market. They're petrified of overcommitting financially and then not qualifying for Europe. But you have to speculate to accumulate. I had to use that stupid term. But I also want to, one of the more nauseating things that I see is people already turning on Jack Fletcher. You pieces of shit. Right? Like, disgusting. This kid, first of all, he's been thrown into an impossible situation. And this is where Amorim is correct in the sense that putting on young players within 2 games, you've got United fans, 245 minutes, so-called United fans laying into the kids. And it is just infuriating because, that is honestly so toxic and makes it so much harder for young players to come in and be successful at United. I hope if that's you doing that or someone's listening to this doing that, please don't do that. Not saying players are above criticism, but these are youngsters that they're not, that nothing to do with them.
Yeah.
Leeds, mate, give me your opinion on Leeds.
Flip a coin.
I'm worried.
I'm genuinely, that's how I feel. Look, here's the way that I look at it, right? It's to me, it's always like, you may not agree with me on this sense. I think that regardless of who's to blame for this, I think for the most part, we see United more often than not beat themselves when they don't win. They could have done so much more against Wolves. It just always depends to me on which United shows up, at the end of the day. Which United show up? I don't know which one it's going to be. And that's obviously not a good thing, to be in a state of not knowing which United is going to be. If we don't get any players back, it's tough. There's not much we can do. If nobody returns from injury, if nobody returns from anything, there's not much that can change in that. The AFCON players, unfortunately, are all progressing to the next round, all three of ours. So we know we're not getting them back until minimum maybe the following game, which is unfortunate. But it is Leeds. The environment will be big. The environment will be loud. That usually helps United rather than hurts them, because they tend to lock in a little bit. Versus the nerves, for whatever reason, when it seems like there's something different going on. I think I don't know. I have no idea what to think, Phil, to be quite honest.
So Ruben Amorim says that Mason Mount, he felt something little. And I know saying my wife felt. So I don't know if Mason Mount will be back.
Yeah, you would think maybe. Kobbie Mainoo is a maybe. Bruno will, from what I know, will try. It's whether they let him or not. I don't know that they'll let him, because he's definitely not ready. But at the same time, he's going to try to play. He was Amorim already said that he was trying to train before Wolves, and they were like, no, you can't. As far as I know, he needs a few more weeks. You don't want him, and it's tough. Like, he wants to play. Do you let him come back and risk a bigger injury? I would.
You have to see.
I would say no.
Yeah,
but
medical advice.
Yeah.
I
hopefully, if Mount and Mainoo were there, I would feel quite a bit better. I think it would at least give us some options. I think we play a lot better whenever Mason Mount plays, just as a team. But
yeah, they definitely look better when he plays. I want Amorim to be successful. I want Sesko to be successful more than anything in the world. I want to be sitting here a couple of months, 6 months from now going, I'm a fucking idiot, and that Amorim was successful. Every win I get carried away, because I want United to be successful. I want him to be successful. And anyone that pulls on the United shirt, I want them to be successful. I don't think it's, I don't think you should infantilize people by putting them beyond criticism, but it has to be within context. And, I hope beyond all hope that we have a better, more consistent second half of the season that lands United, at the very least, into the Europa League. It's going to be vital for recruitment.
Yeah, 100%.
This is our last part of the year. Anything before we sign off, mate?
No, it was a nice,
love you, dearly,
pleasant, enjoyable. But no, what I do want to say about this, what I do want to say in general, is that for anybody obviously who watches this, you can see that Phil and I will sit here and practically yell at each other with different opinions over the time. But the difference, I think, there is that's not personal. And one of the things I wish we could see. No, I know. And one of the things I wish we could see in the United States, I know. I just wish we could see that more in the dialogue, because I feel, unfortunately, so much of it is at the lowest, where every disagreement turns into ad hominem attack on
Yeah.
character and personality. And, I'm still waiting for all the checks I've supposedly received from
Yeah, I
Ineos,
know.
from Amram. Now I'm in an Ineos plant. They don't know that I was in the United Space for like 4 years before Ineos was even on the scene. But I'm not just complaining for me. I'm saying it happens every single time. I see it in both ways. When we win, I see people who agree with me going after anybody who disagrees. You're an idiot. You're an asshole. You're this and you're that. And the same in reverse. And you can have a difference of view and opinion, and we never know what the ultimate rightness is, and enjoy that difference of view and opinion. That's why we do this podcast. That's why I've enjoyed doing it with you over this year. We disagreed on probably 80% of our opinions, but it doesn't matter. I love it.
And over the course of time, I've looked back on some of mine and gone, Jesus Christ, I've
had plenty wrong. So many.
It's civil discourse, right? Where these are football opinions. They're pretty much meaningless in the grander scheme of things, right? I'm probably wrong about most things. But there's a really uncharitable interpretation of people where your opinion has to be motivated by something sinister. It can't just be an honest opinion. It's either because you're prejudiced or because of this or because of just this endless stream of bullshit, right? That you can't possibly hold that view unless you're paid or like just the worst attacks on a human being. I've seen people who have responded to my football opinions on Twitter like, "You're a fucking scumbag pedo." Bro, this is a football opinion. Like, I just said that I think that this guy should be left out next week, or that this is not rational. I mean, when you're a brain fart, you understand that just keep scrolling. It's not that deep. And it's same in politics, everything. We've just lost the ability to be respectful in civil discourse and to say, look, I'm never going to attack a person for having a different football opinion than me because it's just an opinion. And no one wants some nauseating podcast where we're both backslapping each other and saying we're right.
Maybe once we're winning the league, we can sit and do that and enjoy each other.
I love you dearly, mate. You're a brilliant lad, and I appreciate everything you do, your friendship, everything off air, and I appreciate everything that you do on this podcast, and of course on your own work. All the best, mate. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
You too.
And same to everyone that
listens.
See you
next year, okay?
Happy New Year. All right, brother. See you, James.
Yeah. Bye.